Existing as nothing. For anyone to be plunged suddenly into the state of nothing would be a diabolical, disintegrating experience. We have only to experience the loss of a relatively small relationship, like a person we love, to understand what it would mean to suddenly lose our relationship to everything. Friends, money, job, family, honor, possessions, and living itself. But that is what it means to exist as nothing. So it is done gradually by the great movement of life. And those who still have beliefs and need their opinions and discussions are spared from seeing the truth too quickly. They go the gradual way of gradual understanding and graduated experience. You will be alone when you discover the secret of death. And you will be alone when you discover the secret of life. When desire and relationships are sufficiently smashed, the individual realizes immortality. This is a psychological transition in that the fear of death, the fearing entity in the person, goes forever. The experience can be preceded by the sense that death is near. This is so convincing that a man may give instructions about what is to be done with his personal belongings when it happens. He apprehends the pending death as physical, although the body is not involved in this realization. The experience is quite different from the mystical experience of oneness with nature, which brings a conviction about the fact of immortality. The realization is a participation in the fact, not just the seeing of it, and brings a knowledge that remains forever, because the desire pattern is too weak to ever interfere again. In the mystical experience, the desire pattern is only temporarily suspended, so the conviction is retained mainly as an intellectual formulation, and fear remains. Because there is no death as we imagine it, the person in the realization does not comprehend immediately that he has died or passed through death. All he comprehends is that there is no death, only everlasting life. But then, if he looks back, he realizes he is dead. The point of death being only the conflict between what he knew before and what he knows now. The death state is absence of experience, an interval of most distressing confusion. In my experience, it lasted for about 6 weeks. On the one hand, I had the unshakable knowledge of the fact of individual immortality. On the other hand, in the world, terrible indecision, lack of direction, and unbelievable desirelessness. The simplest decision, even which side of the bed to get out of, could become an agony of suspense and uncertainty. Then came the rebirth, the indescribable experience of being new. An indecision gave way to an integrated knowledge of certainty and delight, of individual function and unity of life's purpose. Each phase of realization appears complete in itself, but there is no conclusion to the realization of consciousness. The next phase for me came 3 years later, with the transcendental realization. In this state, there is a distinct possibility of physical death. At one point, my perception watched the heartbeats and breathing cease and observed the body continuing to survive independent of both functions. The watching was done not by a separate entity looking down on the body from a spatial position in external space, as happens in out-of-the-body experiences. The perception can only be described as integral awareness. Its environment is the real body, being. To this perception, physical death is neither material nor immaterial. I mentioned the stopping of the heart and breathing, a very minor part of this vast realization, to illustrate the personal drama involved. The experiences in this realization are so abnormal, varied, and continuous, that to write of them out of the context of my life would be to test the credulity of the most sympathetic imagination. I lost 16 pounds weight in 5 days, and ate nothing substantial for 6 weeks. For 6 months, the body was kept at about 20 pounds below average weight despite a large intake of starch-rich foods, normally a dietary disaster for me. Several people inquired if I was dying. The weight loss and emaciation were not caused by lack of food, but by the release of a new energy which causes metamorphosis in the physical and desire bodies. During the critical period, the energy itself substituted for food and maintained a remarkable reservoir of strength for the body, despite its starved and sick appearance. Sleep as a physical need almost disappeared and became a new dimension of perception beyond the dream world. In the awake state, the perception was taken beyond reason, beyond continuity, where nothing exists as itself. The realization is called transcendental, because the perception looks into the creation as though from outside, and suddenly knows itself in relation to the complementary but lesser function of love, the creator. Rat race time. Our times are to culminate in the end of rat race time, that insane part of the outer psyche, the world, and the immediate inner psyche, habitual unhappiness, where humanity avoids the truth. The rat race is about to disappear. This will clear the outer psyche and help purify the inner psyche of all time, as it is known today. As a result, the dream will be far less magnetic and less convincing for the dreamer. Throughout the psyche, there will be enormous self-doubt and world doubt, unprecedented disorientation, psychic disruption, and anguish. Time in the times will be unbearable for many. However, the end of time provides the opportunity to escape from time that no other time could provide. The pressure of what is coming is already rising in humanity as psychic tension, reflecting the hopelessness of the position. Advanced shockwaves are already being registered by many. The stress is increasing every day, though few are conscious of it. But reflexively, it provides the dynamic for those who are ready to do the impossible, who are ready to jump time direct into the timeless being now. Intellectual enlightenment. You may have an intellectual enlightenment in which you know that God is nothing and that all is perfect and wonderful. That's what I call an intellectual enlightenment. But it is not what life's about. For then I have to live my enlightenment. You see, enlightenment is for living, not just realizing. There are a lot of men and women who are realized, but not a lot that live uninterrupted enlightenment. The thing is to bring that great realization of the being of God into this body and to live it, free of unhappiness, free of problems, really being the reflection of God by controlling matter or my circumstances as myself. Now that's really being the reflection of God, isn't it?